Hey everyone, happy Thursday. I'm Jess Vu. My pronouns are she, her. Just wanted to welcome you guys all to our, unfortunately, at least final event for January. From myself and the Sống Collective, I'm really excited that on this conversation that we're about to have with Vietnamese actors from the diaspora, from different backgrounds and history. Hi, Jonathan, how's it going? Carolina. But I am here with my friends from the Sống Collective. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are all healthy and safe. Before we start, we would like to start with our land acknowledgements. So, and our respective locations, in my case, Los Angeles, we have gathered on the ancestral lands, at least for me, on the lands of the Tongva, the Tapiam, and the Chumash. We acknowledge the first people of this land, which we reside and hold this virtual event.
The Sống Collective is based on unceded Lenape-Hoking, the land of the Lenape people, territory which spans from western Connecticut to eastern Pennsylvania, the Hudson Valley to Delaware, with New York City at its center. We're also joined by friends currently in Atlanta, Georgia, unceded territories of the Eastern Cherokee and the Muscogee Creek tribe, as well as Toronto, Canada, unceded territories of the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples. We recognize that this land was forcibly taken and sovereignty was never ceded. We acknowledge the brutal history of genocide, the displacement, and the dispossession of Indigenous people from their ancestral lands. We acknowledge that after stolen lands, there were also stolen people. We respectfully recognize and thank the generations of enslaved and displaced people who built and continue to build the country that we occupy today.
We also recognize the long, violent history of colonization and imperialism that has displaced generations of people from their ancestral lands, including ourselves. As Viet identifying folks who were resettled here in the US, we acknowledge our own complicity in enacting and contributing to the violence against and the erasure of Indigenous communities and other communities of color. As Viets of Kinh ancestry, the ethnic majority in Vietnam, we also recognize the long history of genocide, displacement, and oppression against Indigenous populations in Vietnam that still continues to this very moment.
As we gather in this virtual space, and one day soon in a physical space, we acknowledge the legacies of colonization embedded in our technology, the land and the structures we use to connect with one another, and its disproportionate impact on Indigenous communities and communities of color globally. We commit to honoring our collective ancestors past, present, and future who have and continue to steward the land. We invite our community to learn the history of the people who have walked the earth before us. We invite our community members to take accountability for themselves, one another, and to become better stewards of the earth. We call for the building of a new world that fights for true freedom and liberation for all those exist on this planet.
Am I muted? All right. Before we start, I want to thank our community members, our community partners for just teaming up and helping us promote, including CAPE, the Coalition of Asian Pacifics in Entertainment, East-West Players, diaCRITICS, and also VAALA, the Vietnamese American Arts and Letters Association, who we have today just to talk. Jonathan, you want to? Hi, Christine.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us.
No problem. Can you let us know more about your organization and VIeć Film Fest?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Christine Tran. I'm the managing director of VAALA, which stands for the Vietnamese American Arts and Letters Association. We're a nonprofit in Little Saigon, Orange County, California, with over 25 years of experience in connecting and enriching communities through Vietnamese arts and culture. VIeć Film Fest was started in 2003 by VAALA and has grown to become the largest international Vietnamese film festival in the world that showcases the best creative work by and about Vietnamese people. This year, we're super excited to be returning virtually in October, so please follow us at VAALA Community or at VIeć Film Fest to stay posted. If you're a filmmaker who's interested in submitting your film, we will be accepting submissions in March. So stay tuned and follow us on social media.
Okay, thank you, Christine. We're so thankful to have so many amazing community partners standing by us. Looking forward to seeing everything that you do this year. And now we'd like to start with a musical performance from an artist all the way from Vietnam, here to share his latest single, introducing MINH.
Hello everyone watching Sống Collective. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Minh. I'm a singer-songwriter from Vietnam, and this is my latest single, I've Got Us. But you don't judge me still. And not like all the yes men who you keep it real. You tell me I'm stupid, though how much it hurts. You laugh at my excuses, 'cause you've heard much worse. At the end of the day, I know you mean the best for me, but sometimes it's hard for me to see. Yeah, you got my back, that's guaranteed, and I believe I've got us. I know I've got trust, I know I've got love. Even when my world comes crashing down, I've got us. I know I've got trust, I know I've got love. Even when my world comes crashing down, sometimes I despise you, 'cause you tell me the truth. Down.
Oh my God. Min is so amazing. Okay, I'm putting him on my playlist. I hope you all are putting him on your playlist too. And we can all be like Min idols together. That's the name of the group. So like Jess said earlier, this is going to be our last panel for the foreseeable future. And I am very, very, very excited to be moderating this actors panel. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists in alphabetical order. Andrew of Kim's Convenience. Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm nervous, but I'm happy to be here with you in your shoes.
You're doing great already. I just gotta give props. Min, I was blown away watching that musical performance.
Right? The editing, the value.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna get into a larger discussion about Vietnamese culture, but when I think of Vietnamese music, I think of Betty Panay. I think of Paris by Night. Vietnamese music. My parents, and I'm like, yo, I gotta listen to some Vietnamese music because it's fire. That's amazing.
I'll hook you up with my playlist. I've got all the Viet raps coming up.
Love it.
All right. Next up, Chantal of Black Lightning. Hi, Chantal.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
We're good. I think we're kind of matching.
We are, as we should.
As we should, right? And then François. You know him from the Expanse and also as Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Hi, François. How are you? Oh, let me unmute you. Oh, there you go.
Unmuted. Don't be nervous because I'm kind of nervous too, so that's okay.
Good. We're all nervous together. That's beautiful, right? And then last but not least, Levy Tran. You saw me go Seth Levy.
I was like, no.
How are you? How are you?
Happy to be here.
Oh, great.
Nervous.
I'm very glad. Good. I'm very excited to have you all here because I know for myself, growing up and trying to pursue the path of acting and being an actor, it didn't feel like anyone else was out there. It felt like a really big desert expanse, and or you only saw the people on Paris by Night, and your mom was like, or at least my mom was like, don't be like the Paris by Night people. What are you? At least they are doctors on the side. So I'd like to start with one of those questions that is the basis of everything. But I want to know, how did you get started in this business? What inspired you? Did you go through training? I know some of you had previous careers before becoming an actor. So I want to know, who wants to go first?
I think for the ease of discussion, I think you should always direct the question because we'll all politely sit. We don't want to cut the other person off.
Okay, good.
You direct it.
We're gonna be like the polite Viet family. All right. Okay, cool. So I will start. Let's do. I'd like to know, François, how did you start?
Okay, it's gonna sound. It might sound bad. I don't know, but I've told this story before. Pretty much in high school. I went to an all-boys Catholic high school. Kind of, you remember that movie, The Dead Poet Society? See that? Yeah, that was pretty much it. And by, I think maybe sophomore year or something, I was like, hey, I gotta meet some girls or something because I can't. There's nobody here. So I thought, oh, you know what? I'll go to there was a bunch of you call them sister schools, where there's all girls schools around. So I'll go and audition for, their plays there. If I get in, I get to hang out and meet girls, and hopefully things will be, be good. So I did that, and then I got into a play. I got hooked. I was like, wow, this is great. Meeting the girls were great too, but doing the plays was great. And then from then on, I just, of course, with the Asian parents and Vietnamese parents. You know, I think my mom wanted me to be a international banker or something like that, and it was always that way. And it was always, you know, let him go through this phase, and he'll get out of it, and he'll grow up and stuff. But I guess I never did, because I went to college. I got my BFA in acting, which don't know if that ever really did anything for me, but and then from then, when I graduated, I came out to LA because I wanted to do film and TV, and I've been here ever since.
Thank you so much for that. It feels like when we've been like talking to a lot of panelists over the past 3 panels, and it feels like every single time a guy says why he like joined the industry, it was always to meet girls.
Yeah,
you know?
It's kind of cliche, but I kind of feel bad about it. But that was the truth.
Which is funny because like when I was in acting school, like in high school, we needed boys. It was like 9 girls and 1 boy. Andrew, how did you start?
I was 16 in high school, and I took drama class, and they brought in someone to teach improv comedy. There was like a week curriculum on improv comedy, and I loved it. So I joined the theater in Calgary, and there was no barrier to entry. There's no cost for classes. All you had to do is volunteer, and they would train you for free. And I always talk about barriers and reduction of barriers being so important to access for BIPOC performers and creators. Because there was no access, there were literally 9 Asian kids from my high school that showed up at this improv theater, and they called us the Asian invasion. But I'm so proud that out of those 9 kids, like 5 of us all work in creative industries right now, which is kind of unreal if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
So I started doing improv comedy, and then I went to university for a degree in economics and business, and I was going to work in oil and gas and work in the corporate sector. And then I was doing improv at night, and I just got better and better. And I never saw a path to doing comedy as an Asian guy out in Alberta, Canada. And so in 2012, I made as much money acting as I did from a job. So I quit my job and pursued acting, and I was touring an improv show and just auditioning for things, but TV wasn't the route. But then Ins Choi, the creator of Kim's Convenience, came to my improv show in Edmonton, Alberta, and he told me about Kim's Convenience, a television show, and then I got to audition for the TV show, and it's literally changed my entire trajectory. Prior to that, it was all like improv comedy and a lot of corporate emceeing, so that's how I got into it.
That's amazing. We're going to talk about like barriers and the barriers that it takes for like BIPOC people to pursue the arts later. But let's see, Chantal, how did you start? I know you're from Canada also. You're a fellow Canadian.
Yeah, so in Montreal, I think Asian representation in film and TV was very rare growing up. So it was never anything that I thought I can actually do professionally until I went and I did a exchange program in San Francisco and got to go to the San Francisco Asian American Film Festival for the first time. And that was when I actually watched Asian American films and met filmmakers. And that kind of kickstart the idea that, oh, you can be an Asian actor and make a living. So after that, I came back home and I made a list of like top 10 things I would do for a living that I would like. And then top 2 was actor or painter. And I decided that painting was too hard.
Yeah. I think being a painter is a harder market than being an actor.
Yeah, because I studied studio arts and I studied filmmaking. So those are 2 of my passions. And I decided I'll be an actor until I retire. And then when I retire, I can paint.
Yes, you can be like Lucy Liu has that career now where she did all that. Now she's a really world-renowned artist and sells like giant paintings.
Which I think is amazing because as Asians, like some people are not necessarily born and our parents want us to be something else, but it's so exciting to see that a lot of us are taking different paths, not just acting, but anything creative. I think is exciting.
Yes. Thank you. Last but not least, Levy, how did you get to this path? I know I've been down the Wikipedia hole and stalking you to get ready for this. And I came across the fact that you were an embalmer before?
Yeah, I was a kindergarten teacher before that, and then I jumped into like mortuary college and did that. But like same thing with Chantal, like growing up, I did not know this world existed. Like I watched TV, I watched movies, and like I watched Chinese kung fu movies, and I was like, that's so cool. I want to be them, but I didn't think like I want to be an actor. Like I just wanted to be them because growing up, my parents were like, gotta do math, you gotta do science, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. Like nothing in the world of arts. So like I went my whole like teenage life going to school, getting my teaching credential because that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then I did it and I just like, I didn't feel it. And then I quit. And then I was just waiting tables for a couple of years. And then I met a couple of police officers who took me on ride-alongs. And then I got interested in like the science aspect of it when I saw like crime scenes. So I applied to mortuary college in Sacramento at American College, and I did that. And then I found out that I had like this yearning to help the family. So it turned into like, instead of being a coroner, I merged into funeral directing and embalming, and I did that for a few years. But then also at the same time, my friend was a photographer, and he's like, hey, yo, model these shirts for me. And back then it was like, what were those websites? I can't remember. Anyway, so I did that, and I started modeling here and there, and I would just travel back and forth from like the funeral home to LA. I was living at San Jose at the time. And then my supervisor, Bob Silva, was like, you're taking too much time off of work, pick one. And at that time I was 28. And so I was like, well, I'm not starting a new thing. I'm just going to stay here because 28 is pretty old, right? And he was just like, you're so stupid. Like, you work with death every day. Go live your life. And if it doesn't work out, then come back. So 2 weeks later, with like $300 to my name, we'll move to LA with a bag. Found one person I knew there, slept on her couch for 3 months, and started waiting tables, found auditions for commercials, modeling like a naive sense, and then slowly merged my way into acting. Like everyday acting class. So
wow, you've had a journey. And I think like seeing everyone here, it's like there is a journey to getting to this path that you pursued. Show of hands, who's ever worked in the service industry to pay for your bills to get to the point? Right. All right. What were some of your other survival jobs like that you had to do to help support this love while probably dealing with your mom texting you like every few days or calling you like, are you okay? Do you need help? Do you want to be a doctor? Are you sure?
I've had so many. Some I can't even talk about.
Whoa.
What does that mean, Chantal?
No, like New York, man. Like there's so many odd jobs that you can find, and like on Craigslist, I did like go-go dancing at one point, and I was a princess doing princess parties and shady marketing stuff. Like there's so many random jobs.
Mm-hmm. But you know, like there are those jobs that I think you do because you want the career of an actor. You love the craft so much, right? Like I feel like, I don't know if anyone's ever had this where you've had your fourth double in the week, the tips have been bad, and you know, you go on the internet and someone else is more successful than you, and you're just like, why is this worth it? Like, what do you do? What are the things that you guys have had help you, you know, get through these like trials and these moments so that they keep you staying true to that path? Does that question make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the path is going to be different for everybody, and I feel like just even listening to everyone's stories, everyone has had a different path. Like I hear things I relate to, but then I'm like, oh, that was different for me. And like I can only speak on my path, but for me, I just didn't ever think I was going to be in any of their positions because, like, you know, they're going after like national television roles. I never thought that I was going to even be in the running for that. So for my world, it was like live improv comedy, live stage comedy. I was going to crush the touring circuit, develop my own shows, develop my own improv shows. And it was always to be as good, if not better than other improvisers and comedians. But one of the things I did was I went after the corporate MC market, and that didn't exist in Calgary. And so my recommendation, like a tip I give young creators, is just like look for gaps in the market where you can exist and you can be. Like, you know, our parents want us to be doctors and business people, right? And they're not wrong, right? And if you don't want to do that, but still use those skills to look for those opportunities. So I joined the Chamber of Commerce in Calgary. Every city has a Chamber of Commerce. And I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and I would go to their events, and I'd be like, hey, you're launching a new product. You need someone to MC your event. Whoa, you're launching a new craft beer. You want someone to MC the party? Like, that was my market. And I would charge $200, $300, $500. Once I hit 1,000, I thought I was hot shit. Like, I was like, yo, I'm at $1,000 emceeing this event. But $1,000 in one night's worth of work is huge for anyone.
Totally.
And if you're hustling the acting game, so I looked for that, and then what I did was I made an Excel spreadsheet, and I tracked how much money I made at every gig, and I might have made $20 at an improv show, and then $100 for an event. And at the bottom was how much I made at a job, and every month I needed to be above that job number, because if I wasn't, I needed to quit what I was doing and get a real job. And so that was such a motivator. So there were some months I was under $50. Yo, I go out hustling. Yo, who needs an MC? Who needs this? And my favorite side gig was I wrote best man speeches for 3 summers, and I put an ad in Kijiji. And firstly, someone asked me to write them a best man speech, help them. So I would interview this person, get all the real heartfelt details, and then I wrote it into like a funny piece for them. Then he was word of mouth. I put an ad in Kijiji, and for 3 summers, I wrote like 10 to 20 best man speeches for $250 a pop. You would have never thought that market existed. So in order to supplement, you know, like your dream, and I don't know what my dream was, you got to find those gaps in the market. So I don't know, like our parents would say work smarter, right?
Yeah. But like that's so like I feel like that totally helped you prepare for being an actor, because you were gathering all these intimate personal details and personalizing and writing it in, you know, your voice that they can finally do. François, how about you? I want to know.
Yeah, let me just watching you guys. I don't know if this pertains to the question, but I just have to say, you know, seeing you guys here and seeing Levy and Chantal and Andrew is all series regulars. Man, you don't know how that makes me feel. I remember I did an episode of Macgyver, first season, right? I think Levy wasn't on there yet. And I did an episode 29 years ago in the original Macgyver.
Wow.
So it's been a while. And 29 years, 30 years ago, I would never have thought I would be able to see you guys as series regular, and now, not just you guys, but a lot of other people who have come up, and it really, it really, I can't describe how it feels to do that, because when I came out to LA and I was starting out, you know, it's almost like I would watch TV and I knew every Asian actor that ever came on, because there were so few of us, and we all knew each other. So, you know, somebody comes up, oh, look, it's, you know, somebody did a guest star on this show, somebody did a star, but we all knew each other. Now, I'm so amazingly happy that there are so many of you guys that I don't know. And it really is just, you know, I can't describe the feeling. you know, I say we've come a long way, and we still have a long ways to go, but, you know, kudos to all of you. However you got to where you were and wherever you're going to end up. I mean, you know how it is. I always say, you don't really choose to be an actor. After a while, you go, oh, fuck, acting has chosen me. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm an actor. It's like a double-edged sword, right? You go, oh, man, this is great. But at the same time, you're like, I have to do this no matter what.
Yeah, there's so many
people who are, you know, for whatever reasons, who are amazing, talented people who, you know, don't, whatever your idea of success is, who don't have that success, I guess. And you just go, wow, it's, you know, what's the difference between me and that guy over there, who's just as talented, just as good as I am, and for whatever reason, for me, I think it's just totally a lot of luck. It's just like you go, but you all understand. It's as an actor, as an artist, you're doing something that gets you, and you do whatever you have to do that. And I'm going crazy.
No, you kicked the door
Thank you
down.
for sharing
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
It's just amazing.
I want to piggyback off what you're saying, because when you say that you've been doing this for like 30 years, that's so admirable. The perseverance of like not giving up, because I think, you know, if there's an advice for anyone out there, is like, don't give up. I feel like all of us have probably been trying to get our first job, and it takes a decade sometimes, right, to get a good job.
Yeah.
And even then, we don't know if we're going to be working next year or the year after.
Sure.
Yeah.
The perseverance of that is amazing.
Yeah. It's kind of like if there was another career that we could choose, I feel like I would have tried to do it. Like, I feel like every year or every few months I quit, or I'm like, I'm done with this industry. I'm done with this business. But yeah, it's like you have to keep going, because like you were saying, François, there's nothing else that you would rather be doing. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. And I guess like I want to go down to that rabbit hole of like, how are you all defining success for you? Because I know like we often get so imbued and so like psyched out by other people's success. And we want what other people have, and we want what we think we should have. Can you talk a bit about like, you know, when you started out acting, what was your idea of success? And how about like now, today, in this present moment, what is your idea of success? Or if you even subscribe to the ideas of success? Whoever wants to go first.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh,
Were you going to say something, Chantal? No, I think when I first started, so like I was waiting tables since college. So I waited tables when I was teaching, and I waited tables when I was in mortuary college. I was waiting tables up until I was auditioning, like waiting tables at night, auditioning in classes during the day. And to me, like my idea of success was being able to work as an actor consistently where I didn't have to wait tables anymore. And even when I had booked Macgyver as a guest star and then I became a series regular, like during the breaks and I would fly back to San Jose, I would still wait tables, and back in LA, I would still wait. I told them not to take me off of the call. Like, don't take me off of the roster. I'm coming back to wait tables. And so finally, like, I think it was last year, I was able to not have to wait tables anymore. So to me, that was my idea of success, being able to work in this industry, have a roof over my head, and not be dependent on the day-to-day tips that I received at the restaurant. And that was like 15 years of doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think similarly, one of my ideas of success is just to be a working actor. I think from at Stella Adler, where I went to theater school, one of the big things was like your craft is there is a vocation that you do for the rest of your life, and you develop and you grow in it. But I also have a list, you know, of things like my goals. I want to do this, this, and this, and this, and I think that in the past few years I've been able to achieve those. But you know, I don't know how, I don't know why, but doing the play, doing the TV series, and I think a big thing for me right now with the definition of success is creating our own work, or telling our own Vietnamese stories, because that above all, I think, is where we can be powerful agents of storytellers, and like actually also contribute and put Vietnamese in leading, roles.
Go ahead, François.
No, go ahead. I would say, back in the Stone Age when we were all students, everybody always says, when they ask you, "Oh, what's your goal?" I think most of us would always say, "Oh, I want to be a working actor." That's our idea of success, to make a living from acting and nothing else. Not to have a day job, which is, I think that's success to me. My idea of success now is if the casting people and the producers would just offer me the job instead of me having to audition, that would be it. 'Cause I don't know about anybody else, but auditioning, I can't think of any other way to do it. But it's just, it's horrible, right? I mean, you just there's no other way to cast people. So yeah, I regret, just making a living as doing what you love is success. Is and that's I kind of say that I don't want to be snide, but that's, I think, most of us want, is to be able to do this and not have to wait tables, or not have to have a day job, or and not think of this as you have to. It's like you put your mind into the fact that you are an actor, you are an artist, you are a performer. That's what you do. That's what you are. You're not a waiter, waiting to be an actor. You're not this person waiting to be an actor. You're an actor who sometimes has to do these jobs, but what you are in reality is the artist. And if you can put your mind and you get that mindset, I think that helps a lot. I think it especially for younger people who are starting out, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm doing this job, but I want to be an actor. I want to be doing this and that." You gotta, you're just as good as everybody else. You gotta put yourself into that spot, and not be, "I'm this, but I'm just a student, and I don't, I hope I can get this. I hope I can do that." Don't hope. Just do it. Just, you are there, and people think, if you think of yourself that way, people will think of you like that. So they're not going to go, "Oh, hey, there goes François, the waiter who wants to be an actor." They're going to go, "Hey, there goes François, the actor." And when they think of that of you, believe me, that's kind of like you're halfway there. And that's my little spiel for the day. Sorry.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. And you're right. Like, just do it. And I think for me with improv, it was just like doing it. And success is tough. It's hard to define. It's different for everybody. And I love the examples given before me. My example of success was always just like doing cool stuff. Like, I always wanted to do cool stuff. And for a long time, it was like having my own improv show. And I wanted to MC the Calgary Stampede. That was like a big thing for an Alberta boy. I wanted to host New Year's for the city, and so I always set these little goals. I just wanted to do cool things. And that was always it. A trippy thing this year was that I hosted New Year's out in Calgary, televised, for like 4 years. up until like 2015. I didn't want to do it anymore because I had just had a son, and it was so cold in Calgary. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was so cold, and I didn't want to do it. And then this year in COVID, I hosted the national New Year's Eve celebrations for Canada, like on TV, and I was like, what?
Right.
And so it's always just doing cool things. But here's a silly one. This is a silly one. You know, hey, you guys know when we get those casting spec sheets and they say like this is the character and they give you examples of who they want, and they'll be like, oh, it should be like Seth Rogen, it should be like so and so. I remember someone sent me one and it was like, it should be Andrew Phung. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh. And then I just joked. I'm like, oh man, knowing my luck, if I applied, I still wouldn't get it.
That's
But that
cool.
was like a really cool moment of just like, you like are doing something right that people are catching on to right now. And I'm seeing these comments blow up and everyone's asking you guys questions about your shows. And it's like, it's just like doing cool stuff, and the byproduct is inspiring others. But I just wanted to be happy and do cool stuff, and then I don't know, buy some sneakers. That was it.
Just a couple.
Yeah.
Carolina has
also-
had some tech issues, so I'm gonna hop in and kind of like take charge on this moderation thingy. I'm loving hearing all of your stories and all of your successes and all of like what you've been through. Since it's the Sound Collective, a lot of what we do is influenced by our cultural identity as Vietnamese people. My big question for you is, how has that kind of informed your work? Or are there ways that you've kind of snuck it into your work when it wasn't there before? Would anyone like to start?
It's I guess I can start. It's weird, you know. I left Saigon in 1967, and then I lived in France for a while. And then I came to the States, and years later, when I started acting and when I came out here, and there were these, you know, I think you guys probably don't remember them. There was a period where there was a couple of Vietnam War series. There was a China Beach, Tour of Duty. There was all these Vietnam War things, and I ended up playing like a lot of Vietnamese soldiers or Vietnamese, because the fad then was the Vietnam War, and there was a lot of parts for Vietnamese actors then, and it was weird because playing those parts, I learned more about the Vietnam War than I did, obviously, when I was a kid. Because I was there, I lived in Saigon. Every night I heard, gunfire or whatever in the distance. On the street I lived on, every 100 yards was a MP, what do you call it, guard station with a GI standing guard there with with a machine gun or whatever. And when you're there, you didn't think anything about it because you're just a kid. You're there. It's there. Coming to the States and becoming an actor and doing all these Vietnamese parts, it was kind of a trip because I was like, oh, holy cow! This is it's just felt a little strange to be playing all these parts now that because I was actually there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I'm sure it's very jarring, like living through it and then like seeing it being presented for film and television and etc.
Yeah, it was a little weird feeling.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else on thoughts of like how your identity or your culture is kind of influenced or snuck its way into what you're doing?
Well, I can't say that any of my roles have allowed my Vietnamese culture to be able to be represented, except maybe the play. But I'm excited about the play we're working on a little bit ahead, and I got options for this Vietnamese Canadian book that I've been developing now for like a little while, and getting that off the ground to be able to like tell that story. So hopefully in the future.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like sneaking my culture into my characters, because like every time that there was an audition for a Vietnamese role, I never got it. And sometimes the comments would be like, you didn't really look Vietnamese enough. And I was like, oh, okay. But like all the other roles that I booked was, you know, like Japanese, Chinese, even Hispanic. And then they just, for like Macgyver, they actually were casting for a Hispanic role. And then I booked it. So they just changed my character, which I was really in shock, because now they actually write in my Vietnamese culture. Like 2 weeks ago, they aired an episode where they introduced my parents, my brother, Vietnamese. They had the whole Vietnamese culture in it. Like we had a Vietnamese meal. I was like, where are the chopsticks? They're like, oh, we have forks. I was like, chopsticks, get chopsticks, put it in. You can't have like dinner without chopsticks. But it was really amazing to see that the writers wanted to bring, you know, introduce like Vietnamese culture on American television. So, I mean, I didn't have much to say, like influence that. They were actually, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, yeah, that's pretty awesome. But
yeah,
I think it's
pretty great though, because I feel like you being in that role presented that opportunity for them. And,
yeah,
you know, who knows how that's going to ripple out to the millions of people that watch the show.
Yeah, talking about Vietnamese dinner, for Black Lightning, they had me make pho one time.
Oh, me too.
The other day we were shooting, and they had a durian. They had a durian in the fruit bowl.
Oh my god!
Like, okay, I guess that's Vietnamese.
Yeah, they had a scene where I'm making pho for my boyfriend, but like they had the pot of pho, but like they put the bun pho in the pot, like everything cooking, and I was like, no, reorder it, take it back. You guys
never do that.
Out and try it.
Impromptu cultural consultant.
Yeah.
Now, when that stuff happens for you guys, do you feel confident enough to go to the producer or the writer to say, you know, this is not right, this is how it's done, so that they, you know, in such a way that it's not like, oh, you guys are fucking this up, in such a way that you go, you know, if you really want to, like, I'm Vietnamese, so I know this stuff. You really want to do this, it should be this, and then, you know, like, there's nobody keeps a durian in right. In a fruit bowl in front of you, right?
For me, it wasn't like a central piece of the scene, so I was like, whatever, you know. But I think if it was, then I'd address it.
Yeah, it's very, you know, it's great. It's great that you guys will be able to speak up and say something, because, I mean, you know, they don't do it anymore, thank God. But used to be every episodic, every cop show or something, you know, even lawyer show or medical show, every season there was a Chinatown episode, right? So of course you go to through the person's house, or the you know, I played like a lot of Chinese or Japanese drug lords and stuff, so they always decorate my office with like a lot of you know, Asian stuff. There's always like, yeah, there's always like a couple of
there's like a jade somewhere,
little dragon, little stuff like that. You just go, you know, that's
Did
the kind of thing.
Did you say something to them though? At
that time, I would say, you know, I'm Chinese. This is why would I have these Japanese swords here? And they said, oh, you know, because
it looks cool. Like, that's what they would say.
Yeah. Oh, you know, it's just the props we have. I'm like, oh, okay.
But I think like it's moments like that where, like, in comedy, I would always try to like throw it back at them. Like, I remember this is one of my favorites in improv. Like, this director set up a scene, and he was like, it was myself and a white actor, and he's like, oh, it's a Vietnamese soldier and an American soldier. And I just stopped. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Really? But then I looked at the white improviser, and I looked at the director, and I looked at him, and I said, son Tran, so good to see you in this war. So I endowed him as the Vietnamese soldier. And he looked at me like, what the hell have you done? And I'm like, it's so great that we're meeting back here at the war, me an American and you as a Vietnamese soldier. And that became, so for me, it was like, take the power back. Like if you're gonna endow these on me, I will take the power back. But on the flip, like I want to control my Vietnamese-ness on the stage. I get to control that. And I remember they would always set up improv scenes and it's like it's a restaurant. So I would always turn it into a Vietnamese restaurant. And I would always set it up and the audience loved it. And I remember a note one time and a white improviser was like, Andrew, you're using the Vietnamese restaurant too much. It's a crutch. And I stopped and I was like, have we ever said that we use the Earls, and these are Canadian restaurants, but like, have we ever said we use the McDonald's too much? Like we don't. And it's important. If I don't bring a Vietnamese restaurant on stage, if I don't play my Vietnamese father or mother, we will never see those characters on that stage. So all we get are me trying to do British accents to try to hit your level, right? Right. So for me, it was about controlling the story I tell on the stage. But the truth is, I think that I can do more, and so like these last 4 years, seeing Ins Choi work on Kim's Convenience, but then also like to your question, like there was a big debate one season about slippers and shoes in the house. Like we stopped production. We stopped production because we're like, guys, there's not enough time for us to take off our shoes. And the director's like, don't take off your shoes. And we're like, nah, we got to take off our shoes. Water. Yeah. He didn't get it. And so this was a thing. And now we always take off our shoes and we always build in the time to do it. But great. Watching Ins Choi do Kim's Convenience, I'm been empowered to do that more. So I this is the first anyone's hearing it, but I have a show in development and it's about a Vietnamese father. And I'm really proud about that and the way we've written and the way we're working on it right now. And so I think François saying he's so proud seeing us in these positions now. And then Chantal reading about you commissioning that book to turn it into like a motion picture. I'm like blown away by that. So I think we're at this cusp now where like we've gotten on TV, we've gotten in movies, and now we're just like trying to get more. And then we're trying to shape the stories we tell now. And so I think it's a really interesting time because let's check back in 3 years because I think it's going to be even more. So.
We had a writer in our screenwriter panel talking about how after Crazy Rich Asians, like the top blew off, and now it's very trendy, I guess, to have these kinds of stories front and center. So it's good to know that good people like y'all are, at the forefront. Our time is running short, so I want to dive into some audience questions real quick. And I think since we were talking about lineage and what came before, someone asked this really great question. Were any of you inspired by Thuy, Tran, the original Yellow Ranger from Power Rangers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. After I found out that she was Vietnamese, yeah, because you watch it. Of course, I don't know if I ever watched it, but they don't really say the Yellow Ranger is a Vietnamese actress or whatever, but. It's just like what I used to say. Like I would know every time I see an Asian face on TV or in films, I would probably know who they are. And then if I saw Thuy Tran's, when it came out that she was Vietnamese, I was like, oh yeah, that's great. I hope there's more like that. And I would go, yeah, that's. I hope people see that and get inspired by it.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I knew of her and like read about her. And
My mom was so proud. Like I was watching Power Rangers and she saw her name come up on the screen. And like for me, like I felt like my mom wouldn't want me to watch Power Rangers. Yo, she loved it when I watched Power Rangers after that. Like it's one of those shows that parents like, oh, it's too violent. Like, like they would take it away from you. It's like, nah. There was a Vietnamese girl in that show. Like she was into it. And so it's the little things like that push us forward. So of course, and I think even if we didn't directly watch the show, I think it totally inspires us to where we are. We have to like respect the people that came before us. And she was like a young Vietnamese person on the screen, and that was like pretty cool. So
yeah. Awesome. Great. Yeah, for me, she was the first Vietnamese person I ever saw on TV. So like me growing up in southern Louisiana, it was a nice shock. And my mom was the same.
That wasn't a
Watched
newscast.
karate movies with my dad and Power Rangers with my mom. So another great question. Let's say sky's the limit. J.J. Abrams is like, yeah, this is going to be my next project. He's going to reboot something else. What other reboot would you want that to be, and what character would you want to play? Sky's the limit. Any
other
property.
reboots would you like to be cast in?
I've always wanted a live action of Sailor Moon.
Ah,
yes.
so cool.
And cast like a diverse range of girls for it, and men, guys.
I'm already trying to think of like who could play your tuxedo mask.
I would want to do the professional, but be Leon, but that would just murder it because that movie is already amazing. But to switch the roles, like have a little boy be Natalie Portman, and me be Leon and just kicking ass. Did I say ass on here? Sorry.
We said fuck, you're good.
I have always, and confession time, I have always loved Westerns. And if they remake any Western, I would be up for it. An Asian cowboy. Come on. It's time.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna get some slack, but I don't think they'll do it, and they're already doing it. But I would love to see a remake of Home Alone, but with like a Vietnamese family, because I feel like Kevin's relationship with his mom is very like Vietnamese relationship, mom. But then also I want to see the big family scene with the uncle, like all those people. Like I would love to see that. I don't know. That's just remake it with like a Vietnamese
thief
family.
sneaking in, and there's like 3 durians in a pot.
They get hit with durian.
That's great. Yeah, sign me all up. That sounds awesome all around. I think we have time for one more question, and this one's a pretty good one. Coming from a listener in ATL, have you ever turned down work because it wasn't culturally or ethnically aligned with you, i.e. a Viet actor playing a Chinese character, or perhaps stereotypically racist?
Who wants to take this one?
I have turned down auditions where, they send you the sides or the script or whatever, and you're reading it and you just go, "What the hell is?" It's racist. It doesn't. You think, "Oh, does this person not get it, or is this person doesn't?" So I have turned down auditions, but the interesting thing about playing different, Chinese playing Vietnamese or Vietnamese playing Japanese and so forth. We've had, I think that there's 2 camps, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the actors, I always thought, I'm Cambodian Vietnamese, but if I can play and pull it off and play a Chinese person or a Japanese person or Korean or whatever, and if I was going to play a Korean person, if Koreans watched me and said they accepted that, they said, "Oh, okay, he comes across as Korean," then I would be inclined to say, yeah, I would do that. But now there are so many more great actors like you guys out there that it seems like if it's a specifically Vietnamese person, the first shots should be to a Vietnamese actor, because we watch ourselves, we watch different things. We always know, that person's real Vietnamese. That person's really Korean. That person's really Japanese. We always know. And I think before, when there were not that many actors, maybe it was, it was okay. You could do it. Now I think it's still okay, but I think the first choices or first dibs goes to the person of that ethnicity,
Right.
because you know, there's more of us, and then it's there's more of a chance for us to do this stuff.
Right. We have much more access now than we did before.
Yeah, yeah.
I play on Kim's Convenience. I play someone of Korean descent, and it's been wonderful to research the role and to talk to ins and talk to the other Korean cast members to internalize that. I think it was an interesting thing because with Kim's Convenience, Appa, Amma, and Janet are all Korean, and so I think their characters are so deeply rooted in Korean culture, whereas my character wasn't as much. I think he was more of the Asian experience. But it's been a wonderful opportunity to learn about Korean culture and then make that part of my character. And I think that it, you know, what François said, it's like if the community accepts you, and because Ins Choi, the Korean playwright who wrote Kim's Convenience, accepted me, I think it made me feel more comfortable to do the role. And that his role was like so deep. When I remember reading the breakdown, it was like a paragraph thick. I was so happy. But to your initial question, yeah, like I turned on a movie like 2 months ago, and it was like the lead. It was like the second lead in the movie, and I read the script and I was like, oh man, did they write this in 2001? Like it was like, and then my agent's like, they're willing to work with you on rewrites, and I'm like, oh, you don't want to hear my answer on that. Like that's going to be a lot of rewrites. So yeah, and I think as we become more confident as performers, I think we have to do that and be willing to put our foot down and to take a stand like that. So yeah, it's happened.
Yeah, I feel like I've also turned down roles that either they're usually like smaller parts that I don't feel
inclined.
You know, they're still typically racist. It's easy to say no, but I think for when we're talking about whether it's only, do we only accept and do Vietnamese auditions, I think there's so few of them that it's hard to say no to something that may be like, oh, Chinese American. And then also, I think I'm also in the camp a little bit where, you know, white people can be British, but then be American or, you know,
Australian or whatever.
They can interchange what white country they're from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that, and I think for agents on some level, we should also allow ourselves like that opportunity. But I think if you can do it, you know. Yeah. Although I think for Native American or, you know, I think there's so few roles for other certain specific ethnic groups that it should go for that specific group.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, jumping on what like Andrew said, like you got to grow and learn to stand your own ground, right? So like in the beginning when you're auditioning, you take whatever, I mean, for me, you take whatever audition they give you because it's 0 to whatever, 2. And then like later you start to get more auditions and then hopefully you book like a year or 2, whatever. But I mean, I haven't had the opportunity in like the first 5 years to turn down a role because also at the same time it was work and I was green and I didn't really have like the strength or the voice to say like, oh, I don't feel that this is right, but I still went to audition. But like a couple years ago, I finally had an opportunity where the audition did come to me and I read it and finally I was like, no, I'm not, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be this person. I don't want to represented this way. I don't want to represent these people this way. Like, I finally said no, which felt really good. That's, you know, going on what Andrew said, like, it takes time to grow, to stand up for yourself, stand up and say like, yeah, I'll do this, or no, I won't do this. So
off what you were saying, Levy, I remembered I had like coffee with James Sato 10 years ago after I saw him in a play, and then he was giving me acting advice, and he was like, say yes to everything, because that's how you grow. And I think like Levy, in my first 5 years, I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I think it's again, it's the times are changing, right? it used to be the excuse was, if the character was Vietnamese, the excuse was, well, we looked everywhere, and there aren't really any Vietnamese actors that could fill this role. Or we looked this and that, or I think that time has passed, because now not just Vietnamese or Chinese or just Asian or Native American, it's you can't really use that excuse anymore, because we know there are tons of artists out there who could fill those roles. The excuse of, well, we can't find anything, we can't find anyone, so we'll just cast this person instead. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where yellowface was still okay. You think about it now and you go, oh, how could that be? But thankfully, things are changing, and as slow as they are, it's still changing, and hopefully it keeps going that way.
But I love what Chantal just said about giving us the freedom to like have the little leeway, like Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln, is British. Like when he talks, that dude is British, but he's on Walking Dead, and it's like no one has ever questioned him on that role, right? And so he has that laneway. And so for us, it's like we have this laneway, we're jumping a little bit over, but it's like for us, it's like I think the thing that connects us is that Asian experience. So even though like within Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, I think there's things that connect all those cultures. And then the best part is our role is to be in those positions to learn and discover. When Scarlett Johansson talks about playing a tree, well, it's the same thing here. I want to like experience that Korean culture and play that character. And it's been a gift to bring things to that specific character's kimchi, and to find ways to be like, what is that character and how does he relate to a larger audience, has been the best experience. So I think Chantal's right. Like we need to give ourselves that ability to do that. And that's how we further our careers, and that's how we increase our representation on the screen.
I'm hearing all this, and it makes me think of one of my favorite actors, Joel De La Fuente, who was in Man in the High Castle. He plays Lieutenant Kido, who is a Japanese character. He himself is a Filipino actor. And I think there's a lot of intersections when you do take on a role like that, being respectful of the culture, making sure that the audience that this is a character from responds well to that, doing your due diligence. And I think that's right, that like living in this world that is predominantly controlled by gatekeepers that don't look like us, there is power in being able to tell these stories. Because, I mean, you're right, François, not long ago, they would have cast a white dude and just put him in makeup.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, that was a really great conversation, but I feel like I dropped the energy a bit. Let's perk it back up. What's your favorite Vietnamese food? Like when you go home and your mom is cooking up a storm, what do you want?
Ooh.
Oh, I don't even gotta think. I don't even gotta think. Answer, but I don't even gotta think. Go.
I just like a simple bông tôm nướng. That's it. Like nice, fresh. Just shrimp.
I just found the Vietnamese area in Atlanta. Have you been? Doraville?
Where?
Doraville?
No.
There's a whole bunch of Vietnamese food. So I order like pho or bún bò Huế. Like all my desserts. So bánh bò nướng. They just have like little Vietnamese snacks.
So is that like Buford Highway?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I've been.
We'll eat Vietnamese food.
Yes.
I hear you guys naming all this food, and when I used to speak Vietnamese and French when I left, and then I lived in France for a long time, and I lost all my Vietnamese, and now to my dying shame, I wish I could just, when I hear you guys say that, I go, oh yeah, I know that sound. That's a Vietnamese sound. I just don't know what the hell you're saying.
Mais est-ce que tu parles français, François?
Oui. Je peux parler encore français un petit peu, mais I think I might be saying it wrong, but my mom used to make this dish called thịt kho.
Oh, thịt kho.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's great.
Really spicy and that would be my choice.
Oh, I know it's easy. My mom's got y'all. But so whenever my mom visits me in Toronto, she gets off the plane with a cart of stuff, like a full cart, coolers. And I remember one time she got on a full size ladder. Like she brought a ladder because we had a new house in Toronto. I'm like, Mom, how'd you get a ladder on the plane? And she's like, that's okay. They know me. And I'm like, who knows you? Air Canada knows you? And she brings me like it's like packed like cocaine, like bun mi ba, and like she packs it in. So I had a little mini freezer at the start of COVID that had like and every like few weeks I'd go down and I'd grab a few and I'd like fry them up. And like a month ago, the last pack of and it was like
gone.
Rice paper?
No, she uses the rice paper. And like not the spring roll wrappers. And I love because all the Vietnamese restaurants use the actual spring roll wrappers, but she used the rice paper. And so I'm literally taking auditions in Calgary, so I have a reason to fly home just to eat her like that's how bad I want it right now. And then last year she taught my wife how to make nuc mam, like really good nuc mam. But all of her recipes don't use measurements. They only say one bowl. So it's like a specific bowl. Like it's not just one bowl, any bowl.
Yeah.
You have to get the one bowl. So it's our Vietnamese measuring cup.
See,
that's like the
everybody,
next, right?
Yeah.
It's like
every family has their own. Sorry, every family has their own secret nuc mam recipe.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of, nobody knows how much to add the vinegar or garlic or whatever, but everybody has their own.
We use lime instead of lemon in our house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because lime. I never saw a lemon until I came to the States. It was always limes when you were doing stuff, right?
I knew my white wife was in with my family when my mom offered to teach her how to make nuc mam. But anyway, I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. This was
Thank you guys.
Thank you
It
guys.
was lovely. It was really great hearing all your stories.
Let's bring Jonathan on, or Jess. Here we go. Hey, baby.
Please call me BB on live stream.
Oh yeah, it's official now.
Thank you everyone again. We really deeply appreciate you taking time to have this conversation. I think we're all deeply appreciative of it, and it's something that is sort of rare, and we're very excited by everything you had to say. So thank you again, Carolina and David, for jumping in, François, Chantal, Levy, and Andrew. And thank you to our community partners, CAPE, East West Players, VAALA, and diaCRITICS. And sadly, this is our last event, at least for this time being. But we want to thank everyone for their time for tuning in, as well as an extra thank you to those who donated. These events have all been done on our own personal time, our personal funds, as well as out of a simple passion to uplift our community. And in the spirit of community, if there's any event or panel that you're wanting to see in the future, let us know. We love to hear from our community and everyone watching right now. So please follow us on social media to connect with us and share what you're hoping to see. And just a little update on us, we've recently launched our VIệT Writers Lab, which is dedicated to supporting 6 amazing Vietnamese playwrights from across North America. And we also have a few projects in the works that we're looking forward to sharing with you. So again, follow us on social media to stay up to date. And with that said, I want to say an early chúc mừng năm mới, test negative and keep positive, and
Oh, that's it? Oh man, wait.